The council chamber floated in the darkness of space, a massive ring of metal and crystal that caught the light of distant stars. Inside, representatives from 47 different worlds sat in worried silence. They had been talking for 3 hours and no one had any answers. Ambassador Talveen looked at the holographic display in the center of the room. Red dots marked 23 colony worlds. All of them were dead now. All of them had fallen to the Scraith in less than 2 months. The insectoid creatures came from beyond the outer rim, and they left nothing alive behind them. "We need more ships," Commander Vestra said. His crystalline body reflected the red light from the display. "Our peacekeeping forces cannot hold against their numbers." High Chancellor Morthos made a sound like breaking glass. It was how his species showed frustration. "We have already sent every available vessel. They destroy 3 of our ships for everyone we take down. We are not warriors. We are explorers, traders, scientists." Talveen stood up slowly. His 6 legs clicked against the floor. "There were warriors once," he said quietly. "A very long time ago." Several council members turned to look at him. Morthos tilted his head. "What do you mean?" "I have spent 30 years studying the first expansion wars," Talveen explained. "The records are incomplete, but there are fragments. Stories about a species that came from the outer territories. They called themselves humans." A delegate from the water worlds made a bubbling laugh. "Humans are myths. Stories we tell children to make them brave." "Perhaps," Talveen said. He activated his personal display. Ancient text appeared in the air, barely readable. "But these myths have interesting details. The humans came from a Class 12 death world, the highest danger rating we have. Their planet tried to kill them every single day. Predators, diseases, weather, even the plants were poisonous." "Impossible," another delegate said. "No species could evolve intelligence under such conditions." "That is what makes them special," Talveen continued. "They did not evolve to think around danger. They evolved to fight through it. The records say humans were persistence hunters. They would chase prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. They had forward-facing eyes like predators. They could run for days without stopping. They healed from injuries that would kill most species." Morthos leaned forward. "If these humans were real, where are they now?" Talveen pulled up another document. "That is the mystery. 3,247 years ago, they simply vanished. The last transmission from their homeworld said, 'We go to the dark places so others can walk in light.' Then nothing. No ships, no colonies, no messages. Most historians believe they destroyed themselves in a civil war. Or they never existed at all," the water delegate said. Before Talveen could respond, alarms started blaring throughout the chamber. The holographic display changed. 4 more colonies had gone silent. Their signals simply stopped all at once. 4 million lives, Morthos whispered. Gone. The chamber fell into chaos. Delegates shouted at each other in a dozen languages. Some demanded they evacuate the inner worlds. Others wanted to surrender and hoped the Scraith would show mercy. Everyone was afraid. Talveen sat down and continued reading his ancient files. There were stories there, buried in corrupted data. Stories about human soldiers who never left wounded behind. About human ships that fought until they were nothing but debris. About a human concept called honor that made them fight for strangers. One fragment caught his attention. It was a battlefield report from a Viridian commander written over 3,000 years ago. The humans attacked at dawn. I ordered them to retreat when the enemy surrounded us. They refused. Their commander said they do not abandon their own. They fought for 6 hours. Only 3 survived, but they held the line. I do not understand these creatures. They should have run. Instead, they chose to die for people they barely knew. I'm grateful. I am also terrified. Talveen read it 3 times. What kind of species chose death over survival? What kind of warriors fought for strangers? Ambassador Talveen, Morthos called out. We need evacuation plans for the inner colonies. Can you coordinate with... Every display in the chamber suddenly went dark. Then they all came back on, showing the same thing. A transmission. Audio only. The language was old, very old. But the computer slowly translated it. The voice was calm, almost friendly. Covenant Prime, this is the vessel Indomitable. We picked up your distress signals. Heard you were having some trouble out here. Thought you might need a hand. Silence filled the chamber. Every delegate stared at the displays. Who is this? Morthos demanded. Identify yourself. This is Commander Jae Hyun of the Terran Expeditionary Fleet. Sorry we are late. We have been dealing with some problems of our own. But we are here now. Terran? Talavine felt his hearts beating faster. That means Earth. That means we are human, the voice continued. And we heard you need help with an infestation problem. We are pretty good at dealing with those. The water delegate was shaking. This is a trick. Humans are not real. Long-range sensors are detecting multiple contacts, a technician called out. 70 vessels emerging from hyperspace at the edge of the system. Ship designs do not match any known configuration. The main display changed. It showed space at the edge of their territory, and there, appearing like ghosts, were ships. They were angular and aggressive, covered in armor plating that looked like it had been through 1,000 battles. They moved in perfect formation like a pack of hunting animals, scanning their hull composition, the technician said. His voice was shaking. The metal alloys match fragments we found in old battlefields. From the first expansion wars. Morthos stood up. This cannot be happening. Chancellor Morthos, the human voice said. Request permission to dock and discuss the current situation. We have been watching from the dark for a long time. We know about the Scraith. We know what they do to worlds they conquer. If you want our help, we are offering it. Why? Morthos asked. Why would you help us? We do not know you. We do not even believe you exist. There was a pause. When the human spoke again, something had changed in his voice. It was harder, colder. Because 3,000 years ago we left to fight a war in the dark places. We fought so the younger species could grow up safe. We fought so you could explore and build and create. But we always watched. We always kept an eye on the galaxy we left behind. And we do not abandon our own. We are not yours, the water delegate said. You are now. Commander Jae-hyun replied simply, sending docking coordinates. We will explain everything when we meet. Indomitable out, the transmission ended. The council chamber erupted in arguments. Half the delegates thought this was a trap. The other half thought they were all losing their minds. Talvine just sat quietly looking at his ancient records. The myths were real. The humans had come back. He pulled up one last fragment, something a human soldier had said 3,000 years ago. We will go where others cannot. We will fight what others fear, and when the darkness comes for the innocent, it will find us waiting. Always. Outside the station, 70 human warships moved into formation. They had returned from the dark places, and they had not forgotten how to fight. The docking bay was full of armed guards. Morthos had insisted on security, even though he knew it was probably pointless. If the humans wanted to attack, no amount of guards would stop 70 warships. Talavine stood near the entrance, his recording equipment ready. Whatever happened next would be historic. The humans were either saviors or the biggest lie in galactic history. The airlock hissed open. 6 figures stepped through. The first thing everyone noticed was their eyes. They faced forward like predators. Most species in the galaxy had eyes on the sides of their heads to watch for danger. But humans looked straight ahead, focused, hunting. The second thing was how they moved. Smooth and controlled but ready to explode into action, like coiled springs. The leader was tall by human standards, with dark hair and eyes that seemed to see everything at once. He wore a dark blue uniform with symbols that Talavine recognized from ancient records, military insignia. I am Commander Jae-hyun, the human said. His voice matched the one from the transmission. This is Captain Min-seo, my tactical officer, Dr. Hyunwoo, our chief medical officer, and 3 security personnel. Captain Min-seo was shorter but somehow looked more dangerous. Her eyes constantly scanned the room, noting exits and threats. She moved like a fighter. Welcome to Covenant Prime, Morthos said carefully. Though I am not certain we truly believe you are who you claim to be. Jae-hyun smiled. It did not reach his eyes. 3,000 years ago we left this galaxy to fight something in the dark. We have been fighting ever since. We watched from far away as you built your council, explored new worlds, created peace. We are proud of what you achieved. Then why did you leave? Morthos asked. Because we found something, Jae-hyun said quietly. Something old and hungry. Something that wanted to consume everything living. We could have asked for help. But you were a young species barely learning to travel between stars. You had no weapons, no soldiers. So we went alone. Talvine stepped forward. The records say you disappeared without explanation. They say you abandoned the galaxy. We left to protect it, Captain Min-seo said. Her voice was sharp. We fought in places where light does not reach. We died in thousands, but we kept that thing away from you. We gave you 3,000 years of peace. And now? Morthos asked. Now we have won that war, Jae-hyun said. It took longer than we hoped. We lost many ships and good people, but the threat is contained. So we came home, and we found the Scraith attacking our galaxy. Dr. Hyunwoo spoke for the first time. His voice was gentler than the others. We monitored the attacks. We saw the casualties. We could not stand by and do nothing. One of the council delegates, a tentacled being from the northern sectors, made an angry gesture. You claim you fought for us, but you expect us to believe you want nothing in return? Everything has a price. Jae-hyun looked at the delegate for a long moment. You are right. There is a price. We want you to survive. That is all. Impossible, the delegate said. No species acts purely from altruism. Most species do not come from death worlds, Captain Minseo said. Her tone suggested the conversation was over. Commander, should I provide the tactical analysis?
Jae-hyun nodded.
Minseo activated a holographic display. It showed the last 3 battles against the Scraith. Your fleet commanders made 17 critical errors in these engagements, she said. No emotion in her voice, just facts. First, you maintained defensive formations when you should have attacked. The Scraith have no sense of self-preservation. They will not retreat. Defensive positions just give them time to surround you. She highlighted several points in the battle records. Second, you abandoned damaged ships to save the fleet. The Scraith track these ships and learn from the wreckage. You are literally giving them your technology. Morthos felt his temper rising. We saved thousands of lives by evacuating those vessels. You saved those lives, Minseo agreed. But you lost future battles because of it. War is mathematics. Sometimes you sacrifice the few to save the many. That is monstrous, someone whispered. That is survival, Minseo replied. Your species evolved on safe worlds. You learned to cooperate and share because that was optimal. Humans evolved on a world that tried to kill us every day. We learned that sometimes the right choice is the hard choice. Talveen was recording everything. This was exactly what the ancient records described. Humans thought differently. They saw war as a problem to solve, not a tragedy to avoid. Jae-hyun held up his hand. Minseo, that is enough. They are not soldiers. They do not think like we do. He turned to the council. We are offering our help. 70 ships and 15,000 personnel. We will fight the Scraith. We will teach you how to fight them. And we will do it for free because that is what we do. We protect. Why should we trust you? Morthos asked. Dr. Hyunwoo stepped forward. He pulled out a small device and projected an image. It showed a young alien child, maybe 6 years old, sitting in rubble and crying. This is from the colony world of Petra 7. The Scraith attacked 3 days ago. This child survived by hiding in a storage container for 18 hours. She is alone now. Her family is dead. The doctor's voice stayed gentle, but his eyes were hard. I am a doctor. I took an oath to preserve life. Every human in our fleet took similar oaths. We serve. We protect, we save. That child is why we are here. And there are millions more like her who will die if the Scraith are not stopped. The chamber was silent. Talveen broke the quiet. I have a question. The ancient records mention a human saying, we do not abandon our own. But we are not human. We are not your own. Jae-hyun looked at him. Really looked at him. Do you breathe? Yes. Do you feel fear? Of course. Do you love your family? More than anything. Then you are our own, Jae-hyun said simply. We do not bond by species. We bond by experience. You live, you feel, you love. That makes you worth protecting. That makes you family. One of the human security personnel, a young woman, walked over to a corner of the room. A small alien child was there, a refugee who had wandered in. The child was scared and alone. The human knelt down, pulled out a ration bar and offered it with a smile. The child took it carefully. The human stayed there, keeping watch over the child, asking nothing in return. Morthos watched this. He thought about his own children. He thought about the millions who would die if the Scraith continued their attacks. He thought about these strange humans who claim to fight for strangers. If we accept your help, he said slowly, what do you need from us? Trust, Jae-hyun said. And time. The Scraith are coming. They will attack more worlds. Give us command of joint operations. Let us show you how to fight them. Learn from us, and if we refuse, Jae-hyun's expression did not change. Then we fight alone. We will do what we can, but we cannot be everywhere at once. More will die. Morthos looked at his council. He saw fear in their eyes. But he also saw hope. The humans were terrifying, but they were also offering salvation. "How soon can you be ready?" he asked. "We are always ready," Captain Minseo said. As if in response to her words, alarms began blaring. A technician shouted across the room. "Long-range sensors!" Massive Scraith fleet detected, heading for Viridios Prime. Ambassador Talvine's homeworld. 3 billion inhabitants. Estimated time of arrival, 48 hours. Talvine felt his blood turn cold. His family was there. His children, Jae-hyun, was already moving. Minseo prepped the fleet. Combat loadout. "We leave in 10 minutes. The Council fleet cannot get there in time," Morthos said. "It will take us 3 days minimum." "Then we go alone," Jae-hyun said. He looked at Talvine. "We will protect your home. Your 70 ships against their hundreds?" Talvine whispered. "You will all die," Jae-hyun smiled. This time it reached his eyes. "Maybe, but they will remember us, and your people will live. That is enough." The humans turned and walked back to their ships. They moved with purpose, with certainty, like they had done this 1,000 times before, like death was just another part of the job. Talvine watched them go and realized something. The myths were not just real. They were more terrifying and more wonderful than any story could capture. Humans did not fight like other species. They fought like the universe itself was their enemy, and they refused to lose. The human fleet moved through space like a school of hunting fish. 70 ships, all of them scarred and battered from 3,000 years of war. They did not look pretty. They looked dangerous. Aboard the Indomitable, Commander Jae-hyun studied the tactical display. 347 Scraith vessels, maybe more. The sensors had trouble counting them because they traveled so close together, like a swarm of insects. "We are outnumbered 5 to 1, Captain Minseo said. She stood next to him, her hands steady on the console. "Probability of survival is less than 3%. "Good odds for a Tuesday," Jae-hyun said. A few crew members laughed quietly. Dark humor was a human tradition. It helped when facing death. In the fighter bay, Lieutenant Tae-yang performed his pre-flight checks. His fighter was old like everything else in the fleet. But it worked. That was all that mattered. Around him, 40 other pilots did the same. Humans, all of them. All volunteers. All knowing this might be their last flight. "Hey, Tae-yang," one pilot called out. "What do you think is for dinner? Why? You planning to live long enough to eat it?" More laughter. They all knew the truth. But humans did not talk about dying. They talked about living, about the next meal, the next leave, the next stupid joke. It kept them sane. Deep in the ship, Sergeant Hae-won checked her Marines' equipment. 200 soldiers in powered armor, ready to board enemy vessels if needed. She moved down the line, making sure everyone had ammunition, medical supplies, and determination. "Listen up," she said. Her voice was calm. "We are going to kill some bugs today. We are going to save 3 billion people who cannot save themselves. And we are going to show the galaxy what humans do best. We endure. We fight, we win. Even when we should not." The Marines shouted their approval. They were scared. Hae-won could see it in their eyes. But fear was good. Fear kept you sharp. It was the soldiers who were not scared that worried her. Back on Covenant Prime, the Council watched through long-range sensors. Talvine stood at the observation window, his hands pressed against the glass. His family was down there on Viridios Prime. His children were in school, probably not even knowing death was coming. "The humans are insane," Morthos said quietly. "They cannot win this battle." "No," Talvine agreed. "But they will try anyway. That is what makes them human." The Scraith fleet appeared first. They came out of hyperspace like a plague, their ships organic and twisted. They did not build vessels. They grew them. Each ship was alive in a horrible way, pulsing and writhing. The humans did not wait. Most species would have taken defensive positions, tried to hold ground. Not humans. They attacked. "All fighters launch," Jae-hyun ordered. "Minseo, take us into their formation. Do not give them time to organize." "Acknowledged," Minseo said. She pushed the throttle forward. The Indomitable accelerated toward the enemy fleet at speeds that made the hull groan. Behind them, 69 other ships followed. The fighter pilots launched into space. Tae-yang felt his stomach drop as he cleared the bay. Then training took over. He checked his weapons, confirmed his wingmen were in position, and dove toward the enemy. The Scraith opened fire first. Green energy bolts filled space like rain. 2 human ships exploded immediately. But the rest kept coming, weaving through the fire with impossible precision. Human pilots could handle acceleration that would kill most species. Their bodies were built for punishment. "Break by wings," Taeyang called out. "Target their forward sensors. Make them blind." His fighter screamed toward a Screeth ship. He fired missiles, watched them impact, then rolled away as return fire tried to track him. His wingman was not as lucky. She took a direct hit and simply vanished in a ball of fire. No time to mourn. Taeyang dove back into the battle. The larger human ships pushed into the Screeth formation. It was tactical insanity. Every military doctrine said to maintain distance and use long-range weapons. But humans did not follow normal doctrine. They got close. So close that the Screeth could not maneuver without hitting their own ships. Mincio directed the Indomitable's weapons with cold precision. Target their clusters. Force them to spread out. Do not let them use their numbers effectively. The battle became chaos. Ships exploded on both sides. The Screeth had numbers. The humans had fury. And somehow, against all logic, the humans were holding. But they were dying. One human ship after another took critical damage and fell silent. Jae-hyun watched the status display and felt each loss like a physical blow. These were his people. His responsibility, Commander. A voice called over the communications. It was Lieutenant Taeyang. His fighter had taken heavy damage. Half his controls were not responding. "My ship is dead." "But I am not." "Eject, Lieutenant," Jae-hyun ordered. "We will pick you up." "Negative, sir. I see a better option." On the tactical display, Jae-hyun watched as Taeyang's crippled fighter changed course. It was heading directly for a large Screeth command ship. "Taeyang, stand down." "That is an order." "Sorry, Commander. Breaking up. Terrible reception." The pilot's voice was steady, almost cheerful. "Tell my sister I'm going to haunt her if she does not finish my card collection." "Lieutenant, no." "It has been an honor, sir." Taeyang ejected from his fighter at the last second. But he did not eject away from the Screeth ship. He ejected onto its hull. Using a plasma cutter and his sidearm, he breached their ship's outer armor. Then he disappeared inside. For 5 minutes there was silence. Then the Screeth command ship's weapons started firing at its own fleet. Taeyang had somehow reached the bridge and taken control. The confusion in the Screeth ranks was immediate. Then the command ship exploded from inside. Taeyang's last transmission was just 2 words. "Worth it." Jae-hyun closed his eyes for just a moment. Then he opened them and continued fighting. That was what Taeyang would want. The battle raged for hours. Sergeant Haewon and her Marines boarded 3 different Screeth vessels. The close combat was brutal. Humans versus insectoids in narrow corridors. The Screeth were strong and fast. But humans were relentless. They fought with knives when their guns ran dry. They fought with bare hands when their knives broke. They simply refused to stop. Haewon's squad captured 1 ship intact. She knew immediately what to do. "Engineering, can we use their weapons?" "Maybe, Sergeant. Their systems are biological. But we can try." "Do it. Turn their guns on their fleet." They worked frantically, human engineers figuring out alien technology in the middle of a battle. When the ship's weapons came online, Haewon targeted the nearest Screeth vessels and fired. But more Screeth were coming. They would retake the ship soon. "Sergeant, we need to evacuate," one of her Marines said. "We are about to be overrun." Haewon looked at the tactical display. The ship they had captured was in a perfect position. Its weapons could cover the human fleet's retreat. If they held it for just 10 more minutes, dozens of ships could escape. "No evacuation," she said quietly. "We hold this position. Someone patch me through to the commander." Jae-hyun's face appeared on her display. He looked tired. They were all tired. "Sergeant?" "Sir, we have control of a Screeth capital ship. We can provide covering fire for the fleet, but we cannot leave." "We are staying with the ship." Jae-hyun understood immediately. "Sergeant, you have 42 Marines with you." "Yes, sir. And we all volunteered for this mission. We all knew the risks." She smiled. "Make our deaths count, Commander. Save those people on Viridios." "I will," Jae-hyun promised. "All of them." "Then it is a good death," Haewon said. She cut the connection. Her Marines stood ready. They knew what was coming. One of them, a young man barely 20 years old, spoke up. "Sergeant? My dad told me humans used to have a saying. Something about going gentle into the night." "Do not go gentle into that good night," Haewon recited. "Rage, rage against the dying of the light." It is an old poem. Good advice for today. The Screeth breached the hull. The Marines opened fire. They fought for 12 minutes, not 10. Every extra second was another ship saved, another life preserved. When the ammunition ran out, they fought with blades. When the blades broke, they fought with their hands. And when they finally fell, the last thing Sergeant Haywan saw was the human fleet escaping, protected by the covering fire her position provided. She smiled. It was enough. The Scraith fleet began to retreat. They had won in numbers. 300 ships remained. But the humans had broken them psychologically. The Scraith could not understand creatures that fought like this, could not understand warriors who chose death over retreat. Of the 70 human ships, only 25 survived. The Indomitable was venting atmosphere and running on backup power. But Viridius Prime was safe. 3 billion people lived because 70 ships had stood in the way. Captain Minseo took command while medics worked on Jae-hyun's injuries. She refused treatment until every wounded crew member was stabilized. When a Viridian official contacted them to offer thanks, Minseo's response was simple. We do not abandon our own. You are our own now. Remember this. Across the galaxy, footage of the battle spread. Other species watched humans fight and die for strangers. They saw the sacrifice, the courage, the absolute refusal to surrender. The myths had become real, and they were more terrifying and more inspiring than anyone had imagined. The council chamber was different now. Where delegates once argued about trade routes and exploration rights, they now discussed war. The Battle of Viridios Prime had changed everything. Captain Minseo stood before them, her arm in a medical brace. She had taken command of what remained of the human fleet. Commander Jae-hyun was still recovering from his injuries, but he had ordered her to continue the mission. The good news, she said, is that we saved Viridios Prime. The bad news is that the Scraith we fought were scouts, not the main fleet. The chamber went silent. Morthos leaned forward in his seat. Scouts? That many ships were just scouts? Long-range sensors confirm it, Minseo said. She activated the holographic display. Red dots appeared, so many that they blurred together into a crimson cloud. The main Scraith Armada, 23,000 vessels. They have been systematically destroying every world in their path. They will reach Council space in 30 days. Someone in the chamber made a sound of despair. Others simply stared at the display in shock. We have 5,000 ships, Morthos said quietly. Even with your help, we are outnumbered more than 4 to 1. Yes, Minseo agreed. But numbers are not everything. We have something they do not have. We have the human way of war. And now we are going to teach it to you. Ambassador Talvin stepped forward. Since the battle, he had become humanity's strongest advocate. He had seen what humans could do. More importantly, he had seen why they did it. What do you propose, Captain? We have 25 functional human ships, Minseo said. Reinforcements from Earth are 90 days away. Too slow, so we do not wait. We integrate. Every human ship will lead a multi-species task force. We will train your forces in combat tactics, aggressive maneuvering, and proper battle doctrine. We have 30 days to turn your fleet into a weapon. You cannot teach thousands of years of military evolution in 30 days, a delegate objected. Minseo's expression did not change. Watch us. A human strategist named Jiwoo stepped up beside her. He was thin and looked more like a teacher than a soldier, but his eyes were sharp. We are not teaching you to be human, he said. We are teaching you to survive. Every species has strengths. Crystalline beings can operate in hard vacuum. Tentacled species can control multiple stations simultaneously. You have advantages. You just have not learned to use them in combat. And how will you teach us? Morthos asked. By making you understand what you are fighting for, another human voice said. Everyone turned. Commander Jae-hyun walked into the chamber. He should still be in medical, but he was there anyway. Leaning slightly on a cane, a young human officer named Young Jin walked beside him, ready to help if needed. Commander, you should rest, Minseo said. I will rest when we win, Jae-hyun replied. He looked at the council. You fight like prey because you think like prey. You evolved on safe worlds. You see enemies and think about running, about hiding, about surviving to fight another day. But the Scraith do not take prisoners. They do not negotiate. There is no another day with them. You either fight and win or you die. He moved to the holographic display. Humans evolved on a world that tried to kill us constantly. We learned something important. Running does not save you. Fighting does. So we stopped running. We became the hunters instead of the hunted. That is what we will teach you. Over the next 20 days, the transformation began. Human officers spread throughout the Council fleet. They taught tactics that seemed insane at first. Aggressive maneuvers, acceptable losses, the concept of sacrificing position for advantage. One human instructor working with a crystalline crew explained it simply. Your people can survive in space without suits. That is incredible. Use it. When your ship is damaged and venting atmosphere, do not evacuate. Stay at your posts. Fight until you cannot fight anymore. Your crew can survive conditions that would kill mine. Use that. The crystalline captain was horrified. You are asking us to die for a few extra minutes of combat. I am asking you to save everyone behind you, the human replied. Those few extra minutes mean another ship escapes. Another colony gets evacuated. Another family survives. Is that not worth dying for? The crystalline captain thought about his own family. About the children who would never grow up if the Scraith won. He slowly nodded. Teach me. Similar conversations happened throughout the fleet. A tentacled species learned to use their multiple limbs to control weapons, engines, and shields simultaneously. Aquatic beings discovered their fluid thought processes made them excellent at tactical adaptation. Every species found their strength. But the most important lesson was not tactical. It was emotional. Young Jin, the human officer, gathered a mixed crew in a training room. He pulled up images of destroyed colonies. Look at these, he said quietly. The Scraith did this. They killed millions. Children, families, innocents. They will do it again and again until someone stops them. He changed the image. Now it showed refugees, scared families waiting for evacuation. These people are counting on us. They do not know our names. They do not know our species. But they trust that someone will protect them. Will you? A young Viridian pilot raised her hand. But I am scared. I do not want to die. Good, Youngjin said. Fear keeps you alive. But you cannot let it control you. You have to take that fear and turn it into anger. Get angry that the Scraith are killing innocents. Get angry that they think you are weak. Get angry and use that anger to fight harder. That is what humans do. We get scared. Then we get mad. Then we win. The concept spread through the fleet like fire. Fear became anger. Anger became determination. Species that had never fought together before started to bond. They shared meals, told stories, learned each other's languages and customs. A shared warrior culture began to form. Council soldiers started using human phrases. Stay frosty. Watch your six. No one left behind. They adopted human traditions like the pre-battle ritual of checking each other's equipment, of saying goodbye just in case. Captain Minseo worked 18-hour days coordinating training and planning strategy with Jiwoo. She barely slept. When other officers told her to rest, she refused. We have 30 days to prepare for extinction, she said. I will sleep when it is over. But sometimes late at night she would sit alone and look at casualty reports from the Battle of Viridios Prime. All those names, all those humans who died protecting strangers. She wondered if she was worthy of leading them. Youngjin found her one night staring at the reports. He sat down beside her without asking. Commander Jae-hyun chose you for a reason, he said. Why? I'm not the best tactician, not the best fighter. Why me? Because you care, Youngjin said simply. You care about every single person in this fleet. Human or alien, you would die for any of them. That is what makes you human. That is what makes you a leader. Minseo looked at him. And if we lose? If all this training is not enough? Then we lose fighting, Youngjin replied. But we do not give up. We do not surrender. We make them remember us. And maybe, just maybe, we buy enough time for someone else to finish what we started. On day 27, long-range sensors confirmed what everyone had been dreading. The Scraith Armada had arrived at the edge of Council space. 23,000 ships, maybe more. They moved through space like a living storm, destroying everything in their path. The Council fleet, now 5,025 ships strong, gathered at a stellar nebula called the Crimson Veil. The location was strategic. The nebula would limit the Scraith's numerical advantage. They would have to funnel through narrow passages. It was the best defensive position they could find, but everyone knew it probably was not enough. The civilian populations evacuated behind the defensive line. Billions of people fleeing to the inner systems. They looked up at their protectors and hoped. That was all they could do. Commander Jae-hyun, now recovered enough to resume command, stood on the bridge of the Indomitable. Around him, the combined fleet waited. Human ships, Viridian ships, crystalline vessels, ships from 47 different worlds, all of them ready to fight, all of them knowing they might die. Captain Minseo, Jae-hyun said. Status? All ships report ready, sir. The fleet is yours. Jae-hyun looked at the tactical display. The Skreath were emerging from hyperspace. So many ships that they blocked out the stars. Open a channel to all vessels. All species, everyone, the communications officer nodded. Channel open, Commander, Jae-hyun spoke clearly and calmly. 30 days ago we were strangers. Humans were myths. You were prey, but we trained together, bled together, and now we stand together, not as separate species, not as humans, Viridians, or crystallines. We stand as warriors. We stand as the ones who refuse to let darkness win. He paused, looking at the approaching enemy. The Skreath think we are weak. They think numbers matter more than courage. They are wrong. Today we do not fight for glory. We do not fight for territory. We fight for every child who deserves to grow up, for every family that deserves to stay together, for every innocent person who just wants to live. His voice grew harder. If we die today, we die protecting them. And that is a death worthy of warriors. All ships weapons free. For those we protect. Across the fleet, thousands of voices responded in dozens of languages. But the meaning was the same. For those we protect. The first wave of Skreath ships hit the defensive line like a hammer. Green energy bolts filled the nebula, turning the red gas clouds into a hellish landscape. Ships exploded on both sides. The battle was immediate and brutal, but something was different this time. The Council forces did not fall back. They did not panic. They fought like humans had taught them, aggressive, focused, refusing to break. On the Indomitable's bridge, Commander Jae-hyun watched the tactical display. Minseo, take Squadron 7 and flank their left formation. Hit them hard, then fall back before they can respond. Acknowledged, Minseo said. Her voice was calm despite the chaos. She had learned well. Fear was there, but it was controlled. Useful. Captain Minseo's squadron dove into the battle, 6 human ships and 14 council vessels moving as one unit. They struck at the Skreath flank, destroyed 3 capital ships and withdrew before the enemy could reorganize. Perfect execution. Throughout the fleet, similar tactics played out. The mixed crews worked together seamlessly. Crystalline navigators calculated jump coordinates while human weapons officers targeted weak points. Tentacled engineers managed power distribution across multiple systems, while aquatic commanders adapted strategies in real time. They were losing ships. Hundreds died in the first hour, but they were killing Skreath faster. The training was working. Young Jin commanded a small destroyer on the front line. His crew was entirely Viridian except for him. They had trained together for 20 days. Now they fought together like they had done it their whole lives. Target their cluster ships, Young Jin ordered. The ones that coordinate their formations. Kill the leaders and the swarm gets confused. His tactical officer, a young Viridian named Sora, executed the order perfectly. Their weapons struck true. The Skreath formation collapsed into chaos. Good kill, Young Jin said. Then alarms blared. Brace for impact. A Skreath destroyer had gotten too close. Its weapons tore through their shields and into the hull. Atmosphere vented. Systems failed. We are losing power, Sora reported. Hull breach on 3 decks. Young Jin checked his display. They were damaged but still functional. Barely. Can we still fight? For a few more minutes, the engineer said. After that, we are dead in space. Young Jin looked at the tactical situation. A group of civilian transport ships was trying to evacuate refugees. They were in danger. The destroyer could cover their retreat, but it would mean staying in the battle. It would mean dying. He thought about what Minseo had said, about how a few extra minutes could save lives, about how that was worth dying for. All hands, this is the captain, Young Jin said over the ship's communications. We are going to cover those transports. We probably will not survive. Anyone who wants to evacuate, do it now, no shame. No judgment, nobody left their posts. Sora looked at him and smiled. We train together. We fight together. That is what humans taught us. Young Jin felt a surge of pride. Then let us make it count. Helm, put us between those transports and the Skreath. Weapons, fire everything we have. The destroyer limped into position. Its weapons blazed. For 8 minutes it held the line. The transports escaped, and when the destroyer finally exploded, Young Jin's last thought was that it had been enough. Deep in the research section of the fleet, Jiwoo studied battle data frantically. There had to be a pattern. The Scraith were insects. They operated on instinct and coordination. There had to be a way to disrupt them. He pulled up communications intercepts, analyzed their movement patterns, and compared them to hive species from human history. Bees, ants, termites, all of them had one thing in common. "There is a queen," he whispered. "There has to be a queen." He ran the data through multiple filters. There, a single ship larger than the others staying in the center of the formation. It was not fighting. It was directing, coordinating. Commander Jae-hyun. Ji-woo opened a communication channel. "I found it. The Scraith are not a true hive mind. They are networked. There is a central command ship, a queen. Kill her and the swarm collapses." On the bridge, Jae-hyun studied the data Ji-woo sent. The queen ship was deep in the enemy formation, surrounded by thousands of defenders. "Reaching it would be suicide. How sure are you?" Jae-hyun asked. 90%, Ji-woo replied. "If I am wrong, we waste resources. If I am right, we win the war." Jae-hyun looked at Min-seo. She nodded slightly. They both knew what had to be done. "All ships, this is Commander Jae-hyun," he broadcast. "We have identified the enemy command ship. We are organizing a strike force to destroy it. This is a volunteer mission. There is almost no chance of survival. We need 100 fighters and 5 fast attack ships. If you want to volunteer, signal now." Every single ship in the fleet signaled. Every fighter pilot. Every captain. Every crew member. All of them willing to die for the chance to end this. Jae-hyun felt his throat tighten. These people, these wonderful, terrifying, brave people, they had learned so well. "Select based on optimal combat efficiency," he ordered. "And I am leading the strike." "Sir, you should stay with the command ship," Min-seo objected. "No," Jae-hyun said firmly. "If we are asking people to die, I am dying with them. You have command of the fleet, Captain. If we fail, retreat to the inner systems. Buy time for Earth reinforcements to arrive." Min-seo stood at attention. "It has been an honor, Commander." "The honor is mine," Jae-hyun replied. "All of you have made humanity proud." The strike force assembled quickly. 100 fighters, 5 attack ships, a mixture of species, all volunteers, all knowing they would not come back. Lieutenant Sua, a human fighter pilot, checked her systems one last time. She was 23 years old. She would never see 24, but she would die protecting billions of people she had never met. That seemed like a fair trade. The strike force launched. They dove into the heart of the Scraith fleet. The enemy fire was overwhelming. Ships exploded every second, but they kept coming. "Focus on clearing a path," Jae-hyun ordered. "Do not stop. Do not slow down." Fighters formed a spear point, their weapons carving through Scraith defenders. Attack ships followed, their heavier guns destroying anything in the way. They were dying, but they were moving forward. Sua's fighter took a hit. Half her controls stopped responding. She kept flying on manual, using her own strength to move the damaged control stick. Another hit. Fire warnings blared. Her cockpit was filling with smoke. "This is Sua," she transmitted. "My bird is dead, but I am not." Using remaining momentum to ram the next target. "Good luck, everyone." She aimed her dying fighter at a Scraith heavy cruiser and accelerated. The impact was spectacular. The cruiser's shields collapsed and following fighters destroyed it. The path was open. Jae-hyun's ship, along with 3 others that remained, pushed through. The queen ship was ahead. Massive. Organic. Pulsing with biological technology. "Ji-woo, we are at the target," Jae-hyun said. "Where do we hit it?" On the research ship, Ji-woo analyzed the queen's structure. There, neural cluster at the forward section. It is where she coordinates all the other ships. Destroy it and the network collapses. Jae-hyun saw it. A weak point. But they would have to get close. Very close. 2 of the remaining ships exploded under concentrated fire. That left Jae-hyun's ship and 1 other. The other ship was commanded by a crystalline captain who had trained with humans for 20 days. "Commander," the crystalline said, "my ship is more damaged. I will clear the path. You make the kill shot, negative, Captain." "We can, with respect, sir. You taught us that sometimes sacrifice is necessary. It has been an honor learning from humans. For those we protect." The crystalline ship accelerated directly at the Queen's defenses. It drew all the fire, absorbing hit after hit until it exploded in a brilliant flash. But the path was clear. Jae-hyun did not waste the sacrifice. He pushed his ship forward, weapons locked on the neural cluster. "Firing all weapons. For everyone we have lost. For everyone we are saving." The attack ship's entire arsenal unleashed at once. Missiles, energy weapons, kinetic rounds, everything. The neural cluster shattered. The Queen ship convulsed. Then Jae-hyun's ship was hit. Multiple impacts. The bridge exploded. Emergency systems failed. He felt his body breaking. But he saw the Queen dying. His last thought was simple. It was enough. Across the battlefield, the effect was immediate. The Scraith ships lost coordination. They began firing randomly. Some attacked their own vessels. The swarm collapsed into chaos. All ships, advance, Mincio ordered. The Queen is dead. Hit them now while they are confused. The fleet surged forward. The disciplined, trained, determined warriors crashed into the confused Scraith. It became a slaughter. Not of the Council forces this time. Of the enemy. The battle lasted another hour. When it ended, the Scraith fleet was destroyed or fleeing, 23,000 ships reduced to scattered remnants. But the cost was staggering. Over 3,000 Council ships destroyed. Only 8 human vessels survived. Captain Minseo stood on the bridge of the damaged Indomitable. She was now the ranking human officer. The responsibility felt crushing. All those people dead. Commander Jae-hyun, Young-jin, Sua, Ji-woo. So many others, but they had won. Billions lived because of their sacrifice. Ambassador Talveen contacted her. His voice was heavy with emotion. Captain Minseo, the Council wishes to offer you every honor we have. Medals, promotions, monuments.